Go out there.
All right, everybody have a seat. We're going to get started.
Oh, yeah, no, I did. I was sorry for me too. I tried it.
So how many people have learned something new today that they didn't know before? Okay, that's me. I could put up like 5 hands for that one. Okay, so how many people had actually thought that maybe emotions were bad, negative emotions were probably bad for your health? Yeah. Well, with fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue, and anybody in chronic pain that's not getting better, I can guarantee you that there are trapped emotions that are messing up with your physiology and causing pain and dysfunction. And in fact, when Marie and I do emotion code with other people, oftentimes we can actually localize the trapped emotion right in the area of pain. It's amazing. Sometimes you can just release a few trapped emotions, and the person will look at you and goes, the pain's gone. It's so much better. It's amazing. It doesn't always happen that way, but when it does, it's like magic. It's really cool. And then, Kathy, thank you so much. I never knew you were such a comedian. This is awesome.
Well, how dull is bone broth?
All right, so before we get you sitting again, I'm going to have everyone please stand up. We're just going to do a little stretch. Okay, so just gently, gently reach up to the sky, stretch the belly. Oh, I heard a pop. That's good. Okay, and then gently off to this side. Yep. You can mirror me so you don't hit your neighbor, or you can tickle them if you want. Breath in and breath out. Oh, that feels good. And all the way up, and then gently down if it's comfortable for you. Just breathe and hang there for a few seconds. Curl your spine back up. And then roll your shoulders back. Get that chi, that energy moving. Roll them forward. And then your neck a little bit. Around and then the other way. This one might be a little tricky, but this is a really good one to also balance your brain. So it takes a little bit of coordination.
I'll watch.
Hey. Across, yeah, make sure it goes across. There you go, nice. Excellent. Okay, turn to your neighbor, give him a high five, and say, "You're awesome." Turn to someone behind you and give him a high five and say, "You're awesome." Okay, have a seat. Thank you. You guys are awesome. So now we're going to do a little bit of training on how to use this tool. I call them acupuncture patches for pain relief. And I'm just going to give you a little bit of background about how they work. Some people are asking me, what are they? How do they work? So then we're going to do some demos. So I don't want to spend too much time on the actual, the technical stuff. So we're going to actually briefly talk about how acupuncture actually works for pain relief, and then how this new technology that works like acupuncture using these phototherapy patches can take away pain often in minutes. And we'll teach you 2 different protocols to use them, and we'll do some live demonstrations and some questions and answers after. So you can, again, ask any questions during the time. Just don't ask me something with the disease name. So, the patches don't heal fibromyalgia, don't cure, fibromyalgia or chronic fatigue. They do help with the pain symptoms. So, if you have sciatica or a herniated disc, I can't talk about whether they can cure that, but we can just talk about the pain, and that's okay. We don't want to get company in trouble. So acupuncture is pretty old. They think it's maybe even 5,000 years old. Do you remember that news release about the Tyrolean Iceman? It was like 10 years ago. I mean, he was in the middle of nowhere, and nowhere near China, by the way. And they think those markings on his back were like tattoos that looked like acupuncture meridians. And he had some herbs in a satchel, so we thought, wow, maybe this is like really old stuff, older than maybe even Chinese acupuncture. So in Chinese acupuncture, the theory is that we have all these energy channels in our bodies, and physically, what I've noticed is that they're actually kind of in between the muscles. So, when Marie works on the different, areas between the muscles to loosen up the fascia, that's where these channels are. And there's many, many different channels. There's like 12 main ones, and there's a whole bunch of other special ones, but the channels, when they're running really well, when the energy is full and they're running completely and balance, that's when we're at the most healthy state. But when we have pain, we actually have a blockage in this flow of energy. So in Chinese medicine, if you can get rid of the blockage, the energy blockage, you can theoretically get rid of the pain. We've had people who literally have been on the football field, broken a bone, broken a leg, on the stretcher, and their trainer patches them with the LifeWave patches, and they're completely out of pain. They ride all the way in the ambulance, and they're completely fine. A friend of mine, hit her head on the ice at the rink, big gash, and I said, "Well, that's gonna hurt." And I said, "Okay." I had patches in my skating bag, and I said, "Okay, I'm gonna put them on right now over this bandage, but when they stitch you up, just put it right back on." So that's exactly what she did, and she had no pain. In fact, she was like, I said, "Did you remember to put the patches back on after the stitches?" And she goes, "It started to throb at the rink. I put the patches on. I had no pain. They stitched me up. I was fine." She said, "I put them on my hip." She also hit her hip when she fell down. So how do the patches work? Well, the cool thing is they have little crystals in them, and the crystals actually reflect infrared light in the body. So the membrane actually doesn't, nothing can go through the membrane. So it doesn't go, nothing goes through your body. It's just light. So there's no chemicals, drugs. These crystals actually just vibrate. We talked about frequency earlier. So they just vibrate at a high frequency, and they help that flow of energy. And for the pain patches, there's a white one and a tan one. And the energy flows between the two, and that's how they work. So LifeWave are also known to decrease inflammation, and I think I have a picture of that somewhere in here. Oh, before we go there, I mentioned that they were in the infrared range of energy. So you can't really see the energy coming out of those with your naked eye, but we have a slide showing you the energy. So here's the slide. So this is courtesy of Dr. Halti Wanger. They did some testing on these patches. The top one's the white patch. The tan one is the bottom. The bottom picture is the tan patch. And so you can see there are slightly different energies, but just like Marie showed the Kirlian photography, this is very similar. You can actually see the energy coming out of those crystals in the patch. Has anybody ever heard of laser acupuncture? Okay, you can actually do acupuncture with lasers as well. And what you're doing is you're stimulating, putting energy into the acupuncture point. It's very similar. The only difference is these crystals are a biological signature, so they have multiple frequencies, whereas a laser is one frequency. So, and the nice thing about these is that you wear them all day, so you get the signaling all day, whereas the laser is just for however minutes you're being treated, and you hope the person will hold that improvement, which you have to do multiple treatments to do that. So here are the crystals under the microscope, which are tiny, tiny nano-sized crystals. At the very top right hand, where they all kind of look bunched up there, that's after 12 hours. So the crystals actually will, because of the body heat, will melt, and the crystalline structure, will basically be used up. So that's why they're disposable, and they last about 12 hours. And that's courtesy of one of my colleagues and friends in Europe. So when you increase the energy of the body, sometimes your body will start going into a healing response, and we call that, traditionally they call it a healing crisis. I don't really like that word, crisis, just like you don't like the word stress, and you call it heebie-jeebies. So you can call it detox reaction. So healing reaction, sometimes I'll call it, I say to my patients, you may have a healing reaction. So what can happen is the body will start kicking out stuff that it doesn't like. For example, when we use the Eon patch, to brain balance, sometimes it'll happen with that. That's why we tell people to drink lots of water when you're wearing patches, because the body will go, wow, I'm in balance. What can I heal now? Ah, there's something heavy metal. Let's get it out of that arm. And then it'll start kicking it out, and then you might feel kind of yucky for a short period of time. So you want that hydration to flush that out. In fact, I did one, we were having some sort of health fair, and we patched someone with elbow pain, and immediately he said, I said, what's wrong? He goes, I taste metal in my mouth. I said, do you have metal in your mouth? He goes, oh yeah. So he had lots of mercury fillings. So he immediately could taste that his body just started kicking out right away. So you can get sleepy, sometimes nauseous, sometimes a rash. Usually it's not that bad, with the patches, but we just tell people that just in case, to make sure that they keep hydrated. And the nice thing with the patch too is that once you have them on, they turn on, and once you have them off your body, the signal's gone. So for example, say someone was, had a headache, they didn't drink enough, or they just, they've had a head injury, so they may have a headache if you use the patch too long. And then we just tell them to take the patch off, drink more water, and usually you know, within 20 minutes, they're fine, they don't have the headache anymore. Whereas sometimes when you take a drug, once it's in you, you can't take it out. You know what I mean? It's still in you. So if you have a reaction, you're like, uh-oh, it's still in there. So these are really, really, really safe therapies. So the types of pain you can use, these with any type of pain, obviously you need to be able to patch that region, but you can patch the face, you know, any part of the body, any place that has pain. It doesn't really matter what type of pain. I used to think it was only muscular joint pain, but I had a patient one time, she had huge, like, an intra-abdominal surgery. She had her uterus taken out and scar tissue and whatever else was taken out. And she had patches from before for her leg, but she had used them on her tummy. I didn't tell her to do that. And she said, oh, yeah, they work great. I said, right after surgery? She says, yeah, they were awesome. I was like, wow, that's really neat. So you can actually even use them from internal pain. Menstrual pain, for example, nerve pain. So here's a picture at the top of somebody's back. And the red areas are areas of heat and inflammation. And the cooler areas are the yellow and the green and the blue. And then after we put the patches on, this is using an infrared camera, thermal camera. After we put patches on, you'll see that after 5 minutes, that whole area up here has actually cooled down. Up to 4 degrees, actually, it can cool down. The interesting thing is that if an area is too cold, which is sometimes with fibromyalgia, an area is too cold, there's not enough, and you'll know because it feels good when there's heat on it. That's how you know it's a cold kind of pain. I talk about that in my book, Cold Pains. The patches will also do the opposite. It knows whether or not you need heat or cold. It's not that it feels cooler, but if you have too much coolness, it actually brings more energy or heat to the area. So it's kind of self-directing. So we actually, who right now has some sort of pain? Okay, so we got a bunch of people. Let's see, who has pain? If 0 were no pain, 10 was horrible, excruciating, you probably wouldn't be sitting here pain. How many people have 8 and above? Okay, so we got 2 people. How many people 5 and above? Okay, great. So we got a bunch of people. So Donna, where is your pain located?
Mine is located in my shoulder.
Shoulder. Okay, that's great because if you're willing to go on camera, I'd love to do the demo on you first. Does that sound good? Okay, so come on up, Donna. So this is Donna. Say hi, Donna.
Hi, Donna.
All right, so Donna has pain. So the first thing you want to do now, this is training for you guys, so you'll know exactly how to use this healing product. Okay, so where's your pain?
Right up to here.
Okay, and is it worse when you move it?
Yeah, sometimes I have to move my arm to move it.
Okay, so if you move it now, does it get worse or better?
It gets worse.
It gets worse. So if you were to rate it out of 10 when you're not moving, what would it be?
About an 8.
8. Oh, so 8 when you're not moving. Okay. How about when you are moving? How would you rate it?
10,
About
12,
10.
15.
Is that how? 20. So how high can you get it without?
Pain?
Well, let's see how high can you get it that you can stand it. Okay. So did everybody kind of memorize that? All right. So how about on the side? Is that any better? Okay. Can you get it higher than that or not really? No.
Not really.
Okay. So we're going to go through these instructions together with Donna here. And what I've done is I have the LifeWave patches. Now, the white one looks exactly like the Eon patch, but it's a different configuration of crystals. So I usually, you're right on the back, A for Eon, so I know which is which. So we have a white and we have a tan patch, and you need both for the pain relief. So the instructions are assess the level of pain, then place the tan on the maximal area of pain. So where does it hurt the most? Okay, so it's kind of general, but I'm going to kind of, let's just pick this flower right there. Okay. So she said 8 out of 10 not moving. Did you drink water today?
I was drinking
Like earlier? Yeah. Okay. Okay. So that's the other thing is oftentimes you want to make sure someone's been drinking water, you know, within the hour so they're well hydrated because these are very hydration sensitive. They don't work if you're not hydrated. Okay. So we've got the tan right over sort of the maximal area of pain. So the next instructions are, okay, we're going to put the white one at 12 o'clock, approximately above the pain. So should we move over there, James? Oh. There. All right. So let's see. So I'm going to put this right on top of your shoulder. So can you show everybody? Okay. So she's got the tan over the maximal area of pain and the white there. So we're going to wait 10 seconds, 10 to 15 seconds. Anybody want to sing the Jeopardy song for me? Yeah, we usually do that in our training. And then, you know, you can also let us know if you start feeling funky or anything.
Well,
You know.
always funky.
You're always funky. Now, would it be more comfortable if you stood up so you're not getting shined on?
Oh,
Okay, there we go. Okay,
that'd be
great.
good.
Okay. All right, so go ahead. It's about 10, 15 seconds, right? So go ahead and tell us if you've noticed any difference. And there may not be it yet, but you were
I'm
at
starting
8.
to feel some.
Okay, what is it? What would you rate it as?
Probably about like this as it is, about a 6.
A 6, so 8 to 6. Okay. And then how about moving? You want to just try and move and see if that makes a difference moving?
A little bit.
You want to try going up there? And then up front? I think up front was. Okay, I wasn't expecting that. That's pretty good.
Is it feeling better? Yes.
Okay, so if that was a 10 or 20,
I would say about an 8 there.
Okay, pretty good. Our goal is at least 50%. So 8 out of 10, 50% would be 4. 4 out of 10.
Somewhere in there.
All right, so the next instructions, we're going to try a different point now, is at 12 o'clock. The next one is at 3 o'clock. So let's do, you know what should we do? Well, let's do 3 o'clock way over here, just for fun.
Okay.
So we'll try a different 3 o'clock if that doesn't work. So how many seconds do we wait? 10. Yes, 10, 15 seconds. Awesome. Donna came to our African dance class on Tuesday. We're so proud of her. You know, she's coming in with a cane, and I'm thinking, uh-oh. You know, but she's got some groove.
Well, I got it somewhere.
Yeah. So go ahead and, what is it now out of 10? Is that better or worse?
Well, it's better now.
Okay, better than the 12 o'clock. So if you were 8 down to a 6, where are you now?
I'll be about a 4.
4. Okay, so we made our 50% mark, so that's pretty cool. Do you want to try moving and see if there's any difference?
Well.
Okay, cool. How about in the front? Okay, it seems like it's easier.
Yes.
When you're getting further, but it seems like you're not kind of stopped in the
No,
middle.
I haven't.
Yeah,
I haven't
it's
used
like
the
there's
other
no
hand to pull it over.
Cool. Well, let's keep going and see if we get even better. So the next one, guess what o'clock it's going to be? 6 o'clock. Yes, thank you. All right, so 6 o'clock we'll just put over here.
Okay.
Now you notice how I'm pretty arbitrary. You know, I'm not measuring, you know, how far. It's not that much of a, you know, exact science. You just need to get it around 12, 3, 6, and 9, and you kind of play around with them to see where it works the best. And Marie has lots of experience with her massage clients of, you know, feeling their tissue before and after and getting full range of motion. In fact, one of our other distributors literally had frozen shoulder and was practically on the verge of surgery and then was able to get full range of motion between the two. So go ahead and move again and tell us out of 10. This one better or worse?
Not better.
Some positions will be better than others, and other times it's just because she's had them on for so long that it keeps getting better. So
Well, it feels a lot better.
a lot better,
A
okay?
lot better.
So if you were a 20 or 10,
Yeah.
where are you now?
I'm about a 3, 4.
Okay.
So good in front.
Okay, let's do the one in front here. Yeah, that's even, yeah, that is actually increased range of motion there. Excellent. Okay, you up for trying the next one? Maybe. All right, so let's do, what's next? 9 o'clock, thank you. Let's put it right over the shoulder. Again, we'll wait our 10 seconds.
Question.
Yes.
Is this, are these patches something that you can just buy through acupuncture, or do you have to get them?
Okay, we'll go over that. But basically, because, you know, I'm teaching you guys how to use this, it's person-to-person selling, so it's direct sales. So the company basically, you know, has distributors, they sign up as distributors, and then they teach other people how to do it. If you just put it on a shelf, nobody will know how to use it. You know what I mean? So they decided, they did market research and thought about maybe just putting it in drugstores and things like that, but then, you know, it's a little bit more complex than putting on face cream. So we do it by distributor. So, for example, Marie's a distributor, I'm a distributor. I mean, I love them so much because I went from basically, this you're going to laugh, but went from like 20 minutes in front of the computer, we can be completely exhausted when I had my fibromyalgia, to like 4 hours on the computer. Marie's like, oh no. But 4 hours on the computer going completely full of energy. I'm like, wow. And then I also won my first gold medal in figure skating internationally 2 weeks after starting these patches, and I had the energy ones. That was the first set of patches. So I fell in love with them because I just found people were getting faster so much quicker. Okay, sorry, that was more than 10 seconds. Go ahead. Let's do your range of motion. Okay, so we were going to see you do this and dance on Tuesday, right? Okay, is that some better or worse?
Oh, it feels a lot better.
A lot better.
Now when I go to classes on Wednesday for arthritis classes, I'll be able to move my arms.
Okay. Well, let's see what's the next one. That was 9 o'clock. Now we can do bracketing. So if you're not getting your 50% at least, you can move it to the other side of the body. So we'll try that. And of course, if it starts feeling worse, let me know, and we'll change it back to whatever position was best.
Okay.
What number did you feel at 9?
Oh yes, that last one. Thank you.
Oh.
Do you want to volunteer?
Right. I don't know.
I went to
about 1, 2.
1 or 2.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I mean, it's leaving my body.
Wow. Cool. Very good.
How long will she feel good?
Well, if she stays hydrated, the patches will last about 12 hours, and then the crystals will melt
And
after
she'll
that.
have to leave it on, though, the patch is on?
Yeah, I mean, some energy sensitive people will have residual improvement, but the energy blockage usually wants to block again because it's been like that for months or years. So it takes, just like acupuncture is cumulative, so after one acupuncture, you're not all cured. You know, some of the symptoms get better for a couple of days, and then it gets worse again because your body's way over here out of alignment, and we're kind of coaxing it. It kind of goes back and coaxes it a little bit more into alignment, and then it kind of goes back. So it kind of does this little dance. And so we notice that when people use the patches regularly, like every day or every other day, and then after a while, they don't need them as often because now the channels know how to stay open. They're taught how to stay open. Because I had a guy in Tupper Lake, actually, who he said, well, I can't really afford acupuncture. I said, well, why don't we try these patches for his back pain? So we did. He had herniated disc. Oh, not supposed to say disease name. Sorry. He had a back problem that was non-surgical. He was trying to avoid surgery. So we used the patches, his pain went away, and so that's all. He never came for acupuncture. He just uses the patches whenever he wants. He works hard labor, and if he gets too sore, he puts them on. He said, this is great. I saved a ton of money. Okay, so how's this one? Sorry, what was the question? Okay, how's this one out of 10, Donna? Better or worse than last one?
Good.
She's going to be flying off the floor.
Yeah.
I am going to.
So
This time don't work, but this one does now.
So about what? You were at 1 to 2.
Well, I go down 0 under.
Here we go into negatives.
Okay, so keep your arms straight and let's see how far you can get up. Excellent. And then off to the side. Certainly a lot easier. Maybe you know. Can you try the side down all the way? See. Okay. Excellent. Okay. Well, you all agree that that's better than what she was before.
Yeah. It's only been 4 years. Sort of like
4 years.
That's all. Now I actually move it.
All right. So thank you, Donna. Let's give her a round of applause. All right. You keep those on the So well, Donna's a wonderful person. I knew her for many years, and she was a patient of mine before. And she is like what I call an earth angel. And so she's volunteering today. So she gets a gift, and she gets to wear these patches home. So we'll put it on your leg. Awesome. Okay, who else had an 8 out of 10? So you, Karen?
I did, but I'm done up already. You should choose somebody else.
Oh, that's sweet of you. Okay, who has a 7 out of 10? 7 out of 10 pain, 6 out of 10. Okay. Now, where's your location of your pain trace?
That's my neck. Traps all the way down to the lens.
Okay. And how long have you had that problem?
About 4.5 years.
Okay, so quite a while. Okay. And how about you, ma'am? I forgot your name. I'm sorry.
Jane.
Jane. Yes.
My lower back.
Lower back.
The 2 balls on my feet.
Ah, okay. That might be the whole body protocol.
Yeah.
Let's check the time. Okay, so we're going to do a different protocol on you, Jane. We're going to teach everybody. So, Joyce, come on up.
Joanne.
Oh, Joanne, sorry. Come on up. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the instructions because you guys are going to walk me through this.
Now you only move one patch and not both.
Oh, yes, thank you for reminding me. You know, if we get pain relief, significant pain relief, and the person's happy, we just keep the patches the way they are. We take the backings off and stick them on the skin. You notice that we did it right through the clothing, first of all, because I don't want people tripping on the video, and second of all, because they work through clothing, and we want to show you that they do. But if they don't work with the tan and center of the pain, sometimes the white one works better. Then you put the white in the center, and then you move the tan around. So how, out of 10, how bad is your pain, would you say?
About a 7 right now.
A 7. Okay, 7. And can you move and let us know whether that's better or worse for you? Okay. I'll move over to the other side just a second. Okay, so show us, point to where your pain is, Joanne.
Goes from here.
Okay. All right, so this way. So am I correct from here to here?
Yep.
Yep, so turn this way. Yep, so here to here. Okay, and then when you, okay, and when you move, is it better or worse?
Same.
It's the same. So if you move right now, can you touch your toes? Yeah, and that's not a problem?
No.
Okay. All right, so, because do anybody know, and I bet you some of the therapists will know, why do I ask what their pain level is moving and not moving? Why do you think I would ask that?
Because it's energy and it's continuously moving.
You want to know?
That's the esoteric answer, but that was cool.
You want to know if it's musculoskeletal or
Yeah, even simpler than that.
Energy.
Well, actually, it's because this is what happens. So they're like, we've done so many of these demonstrations, right? So they come and they're like really in pain. Yep. Oh, it's a 10. It's a 10. It's a 10. Okay, so we put the patches on, and then we're like, it's still a 10. It's still a 10. So that's why we ask, what is it moving and not moving? Because sometimes we're like, yeah, I still have pain. So we learn to kind of, say, okay. And what's really great when we have in the office is we have a family member there.
Oh.
Because, even if the person doesn't really see that there's change, the family member's eyes go like this. And they're like, what do you mean you can't see a difference? I can see a difference, It's so funny. Okay, so what do we do first besides ask if she was already hydrated? Okay, so did you drink any water today? Excellent. Okay, and then we ask, what next? What's the level of pain? Yes, level of pain. So you said 10, 7 out of 10, right? The whole strip all the way down, 7 out of 10. Okay, and then what do we do? Take the tan patch and put it where? On the most pain. So do you have a spot that you think would be the most painful?
At the moment,
Okay, so we're going to put the tan patch. We'll put it on the neck. Okay, and then where's the first patch go? 12 o'clock. So where would 12 o'clock be on her? Top of the head. Well, it's kind of inconvenient. We'll try it. See what happens. All right, there we go. We won't stick too hard. And then we wait how long? 10 to 15 seconds. Excellent. Yes.
here?
Oh, Rachel.
That's just to find like what place is better. So
Right, exactly.
one's better, you can just stop. Like you don't have to keep moving it all.
No, that's a great question. Yep. Once you find if the person's down to 0, then obviously you found the best spot. And sometimes they're like almost the best between 3 and 6, and you're like, maybe it's 5 or 5:30 or 4:30. You can kind of play with it. It just starts at 12, 3, 6, and 9, just so you get a gist of where the energy wants to go, where the blockage is. And I have not guessed correctly as a therapist, and I think, oh, you know what? It's their infraspinatus, so I'm going to pass their infraspinatus. Nope, it doesn't work that way. I just do the clock, and it's completely different from what I expect. So tell us better or worse, or if you feel a difference. Okay, no difference. All right, so let's see. Now where do we go? So we've got 12 o'clock. 3 o'clock, okay. So have you turn around just so people can see? All right, so where would 3 o'clock be? Probably the other side, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, just like Marie and I were doing the different, the muscle testing, you can actually muscle test hydration too. Yeah, so we can actually have, Joyce put her arm up and we can actually test how much hydration. I'm going to save her the arm thing right now because she's in pain, but I'm going to connect as proxy for you. Okay, so connect as proxy. Connect as proxy for, yes, okay, so I'm proxy for Joanne. Sorry, I keep on calling you Joyce. So am I proxy for Joanne? Yes, okay, so is Joanne at least 50% hydrated? Yes, 60, 70, 80, 75, 74, 73, 72. So you're 72%, not bad at all. Okay, so any difference there? Get back to me. So give us a number.
maybe a 6.
A 6, okay.
It's like a burning in here.
A burning?
Sensation.
Okay, so the sensations, it was burning before too. than we started, or did it start getting burning?
It was before.
Before, okay. So you're still
After
burning.
I did the brain balancing, it wasn't burning. But brain balancing.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. Joanne said that she did the brain balancing breathing wrong. She kept just doing the one side instead of back and forth. So you're supposed to do back and forth. So let's see. Well, since we know Joanne was not brain balanced before, we're actually going to put a brain balancing eon patch on you just to help out. So I'm not sure that's the best point, but let me check. Yeah, okay, so that point will work for brain balancing. So let's switch. So are you right now a 6 out of 10? Is that what you said? Okay. So now where do we go? So we did, okay, so 6 o'clock. Come on down here. Right out here. Let get the whole thing. All right, so we'll let her kind of brew for 10 to 15 seconds and see. What we're doing now, we'll get some water to you. Do you have any other water with you, or? Okay.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I'll give it to her.
It's in that
Nice water bottle. She's got a nice water bottle. Okay, so give us feedback. Any change at all? So you were 6 out of 10. The original was 7. Has the quality of pain changed as well? Okay, maybe a 5. It's still burning, right? Okay. So now where do we go? 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock, yes. All right, so let's do 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock is, put it over here. Now, sometimes I'll be at the office and I'll actually cheat a little bit because I'll just muscle test where the best point should be. But I don't expect everybody to do that. Sometimes it's still better doing the actual clock technique, this particular protocol. But let me just see. Okay, so where is the best point for Joanne? Would it be the tan on the pain? No. The white on the pain? Yes. Okay, so her body's saying she would prefer the white on the pain. So before we do that, though, how is that? Any better? Okay, about 5 still, or are you back to 7? About a 5. Okay. So let's try. Let's swap them. So let's put the white now on there. And, okay, so where do you want to put this one? Now, we can start all over again, but 12 o'clock? Okay. All right, do you notice anything? No. No, not yet. Okay, so let's switch. So that was 12. Let's go to 3. Of course, the therapist and us are sort of like, oh yeah, it's coming from the neck. It's coming from the vertebra. So, but sometimes it's not always.
For the ally ligaments. Yeah.
Is that when it started? Yeah. So people that have had head injuries definitely have a much higher risk of not being brain balanced, because structurally they actually have a shift, and they're not just energetically. So they can be a little bit harder to treat, but they're completely treatable as well. They just take a little bit more time. Okay, any difference in this one?
Probably about 4.
Okay. Okay, so about so 7 to a 4. And actually, it's funny because I muscle tested that this was probably going to be the best point, but it makes sense given your injury now. You say that. We'll go to where we go now. 6 o'clock. Okay. Now, sometimes what you can do, you can play around with the patches too with different protocols. We're showing you some basic protocols, but there's one protocol where I had this guy he had a fake hip. He had hip surgery, and there was something wrong. It had to be removed again because it was recalled. You guys okay?
There was a spider on me.
Oh no, not on you. Are you the one that hates spiders? Yeah. See, they know you do, right? They're like, oh no. Okay. So I had a patient, actually not a patient, a friend of mine had a friend who had a big hip, had to come out. It was recalled, but 2 weeks to see the surgeon. He was in excruciating pain. 10 out of 10, you know. Anyway, we put all sorts of patches on him, wasn't working. Finally, I said, well, where's the worst pain that you still have? And he said, right here on the side. Well, he had a fake joint, so we were trying to patch around this fake joint. Like, well, maybe there's not a lot of energy there. So we ended up patching this whole meridian. We patched one patch here, one patch at the, you know, bottom of the foot to patch that whole gallbladder meridian, and that he went from a 10 to a 2. And the next day he was walking without any pain. So he, in 2 weeks to see the surgeon. So he was a pretty happy camper. How's that, Joanne? Any difference? So about the same? Okay. And then last one is 9. Yes. Okay. So we're close to our 50%. It would be interesting to see if we take the Eon patch off, whether your pain gets worse or whether it stays. So we'll try that. So do you have a sense of this position? I know it's not quite 10 seconds, but better or worse?
Still about the same.
Still about the same? Okay. So I'm just going to try that. Yes, that one's the Eon. So let's see. I'm going to take that off, and you can let me know whether or not you feel worse. Okay. See how fast that was? Okay. So worse. I'm going to put it behind your ear now that you told me your C1 was the one that was damaged. Okay. Do you feel any difference since we put it back on? Okay, so it's kind of calmed down a little bit. Is that what you mean? Okay, so any different from when it was here? Still a 5, or is it less than 5?
Yeah, it's better here.
Okay, better spot. Okay, so give us a number if you don't mind. 3.5. Okay, we met our goal, so give her a round of applause. Oops. Sorry. So Jane, come on forward here. Thank you, Joanne. All these Jane names. There's like 2 Janes. What a great name. So we're going to show you the next protocol is the whole body protocol. Very, very simple. Actually, I'll need a chair unless you're really good at standing on one foot. Let's see. Let's go over here. Can you guys sort of see if she puts her foot out? Maybe. And do you have slip-ons on, or? Yeah. Okay. I'll just have you take your shoes off, and then. That's okay.
Will that hurt?
I don't know, but it's not going to interrupt anything.
We were just talking about that man with the big hips.
Oh, I see. I see. Well, we'll see. We don't know. So you have pain. Can you show tell this way?
Right on this.
Okay, it's on the bottom, okay, on the big knuckle. And anywhere else? The back. Okay, so she's got pain in how many areas?
2.
Yeah, 2 areas. So we're going to try the whole body pain protocol. I'm not sure that's the best one for you, but for demonstration purposes. Now, you were one that was not brain balanced, right? Okay, so Eon on you. All right, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to cheat a little bit. We're actually going to, because we tested her before, and she was Bob. So we're going to put the Eon on her so she can get brain balance. So for this protocol, we're going to use the bottom of the feet because she's got pain in like her lower body. So that's the first point. Kidney 1, bubbling spring. That's the acupuncture point. Now on the brochure and on the slide, the white goes on the right, tan goes on the left. But you don't have to do it that way. You can do it whichever way works. But we start with that. So we're going to actually put the tan on the bottom of her foot and put the white on the bottom of the right one. So can I get your right foot? How convenient, she has boots on. This is awesome. Oh, no, you don't need to see that. You put it right over top. Okay, great. Now, I know you have back pain. We didn't patch your back specifically. But same thing. Sometimes it takes longer than 10 to 15 seconds, but, you know, we'll check in and see, do you, oh, we forgot to ask her her number. What was, okay, so what was your pain before on your foot out of 10?
7, 6.
Okay, so 67, and then the back was?
A good 7.
7. Okay, and how about moving? Is that making it worse or better? Worse. Worse. And when you were moving, how bad was it? What did you say? 8, 9. Okay, so we got 6, 7, 8, 9. And what didn't we ask her that I forgot about? Yeah, she hydrated. So did you drink any water today? Just. Okay, so she might not be hydrated. But let me have you stand up and see if that made a difference. You know, the Eon patch actually seems to work pretty well, even if people are relatively dehydrated. I don't know why, but the LifeWave definitely, I find that people have to be more hydrated for that pain relief effect. Better or worse? Any difference? No. Okay. So let's swap the colors. Let's see. It wasn't worse though, right? It was just the same. Okay. Okay, so let's see. Is it okay if I ask how hydrated your body is? Okay. So can I act as proxy for Jane? Can I act as proxy for Jane? Okay, so I'm Jane right now. So is Jane at least 50% hydrated? No. Okay, at least 40? No. 30? Yes. 35? No. 34, 33, 32. She's about 32% hydrated. Is she hydrated enough for the LifeWave patches to work well? No. Okay, so what percentage of optimal efficacy of the patches will she get with this degree of hydration? More than 50%? 60? No. 55, 54, 53, 52. So you're going to get maybe some positive effect, but we don't know whether that's going to translate into your symptoms until you drink some more water. So do you have any change in how you feel at this point? So maybe we should, can we get you a glass of water? Okay.
Did you have a cup in your chair?
Yes.
By the chair right there.
We'll get you some water.
I have that metal piece in my toe.
Okay, let's ask, get this, we can ask this. So she has a metal piece in her toe. Is that, I'm still her, right? Yeah, so is that interrupting, is that interrupting the LifeWave energy? Oh, you know, it is. Interesting, you were right, it is. So can we treat both pains with kidney 1? No. Okay, can we treat both pains with heart 3? No. What if we did the double protocol? No. So do we have to treat the pains separately? Yes. Okay, what's the most important pain for her to treat today? Would it be the foot pain? Yes. The back pain? No. So your foot pain's number 1. Is that okay? So we're actually going to switch. We're going to take this patch off. So let me ask your body. So would it be helpful for high risk to use the tan and the white patch sandwiching that foot? Okay, let's try it. So we're going to put the tan on top, white on the bottom. She's going to drink some water, and we'll see whether that makes a difference. So is Jane brain balanced right at this moment? Yes, she is. So while she has that Eon on, she is brain balanced. I want to, while she's cooking there a little bit and getting hydrated. So patching tips, hydration is important. And I think we got everything here using tape on the back. Just so you know, there are some other patches that I use regularly, both for myself and recommend to patients. There's one, the appetite control, which is the SP6. It's not a weight loss patch. Okay, it doesn't make you lose weight. It just makes you not crave sugar and you know, feel as hungry. There's one called carnosine, which is the blue one here, which is for cellular repair. That's really helpful for, you know, getting the tissues that are torn and inflamed back together again. The third one here, the yellow one, is the glutathione patch. Now, none of my adult patients can say glutathione very well without some practice, but for some reason the 10-year-olds can. It's really funny. They're like, yeah, the glutathione. I'm like, wow, you can say that? And they're like, yeah. So glutathione is this big master antioxidant. Dr. Oz did this huge, you know, show on glutathione. And glutathione helps to get rid of toxins out of the body, heavy metals, things like that. That patch I actually recommend a little later for people with fibromyalgia. Why? Because they're usually extremely toxic. It's like they're toxic from, you know, from emotions, from heavy metals, from viruses, from bacteria, all this kind of stuff. So I use that one a little bit later. I use kind of the other ones first until their body says, yes, it's safe to use the glutathione, because I don't want them to get too miserable kicking the toxins out. The third one's very popular, especially in Europe. It's actually a medical device used by doctors and hospitals called Silent Nights, and that helps with serotonin. How many people have heard of serotonin or melatonin? Oh, almost everybody, yeah. So these are nice hormones and neurotransmitters that your body makes to help you sleep and make you more happy. So that's for sleep. This one's the one we're using, the LifeWave. The energy enhancer patches, the ones also that I have white and tan as well, I use for my skating, and I pretty much use 4 times a week now. And then that's the package for the Eon, the stress one. Okay, and you might want to write this down, but I will have these posted as well online. But people ask me how much it is. Like I said, usually buy them from distributors. We were having some problems with people selling them on Amazon because the company makes it illegal to sell on Amazon. But the problem is that they were then calling me asking for help to have a patch. So with every distributor, the purpose of doing a distributor is so that they can help you. You know, they get on the phone. It's like, where do I patch? You know, how do I use them? That kind of thing. So it's not really fair to get them on Amazon and then expect one of the other distributors who's selling them, you know, to not get paid and then ask them for help. So I get emailed all the time by people all around the world. So that's why we made this video, because you can get them wholesale. You know, like you do a membership at Sam's Club, and you can pay a membership. You can get them at wholesale.
How much it cost?
It is actually I'll leave that for now. It's $3 a patch if you bought it retail, so $90 for pack of 3. And then wholesale goes everywhere from $1.60, no, $1.28 is the lowest, but that's like a bulk package. But generally speaking, you know, between $1.68 and $2.33 per patch, depending on how many you buy. It's sort of like bulk. You know, if you have 1,000 rolls of toilet paper at Costco, it's a lot cheaper. So they have different bulk packages. So that video actually tells you, you know, what all the different packages are, what's the best price, and different options. If you can't afford that price, you know, other things that you can do. And then distributors like myself and Marie, you know, can actually walk you through it as well. But some people just choose to, they just want to try it, so they'll just buy, like I'll split up a pack, you know, as a courtesy for my patients. So I'll split up a pack and maybe sell them 10, you know, and they'll just use them every day, and they'll just buy them 10 at a time because that's how they want to do it, and that's fine. And they, you know, do their homework and they do their brain balancing. Okay, so any difference at all?
Yes, somewhat.
Okay, so so you're about 6 or 7 out of 10 on the foot. So where are you now? Okay, so a little bit, yeah. So let me just ask your body, would the white be better on top? No, the white's better on the bottom. For high school skin, the tan's better on top. Yes. Okay, but you were absolutely correct. I didn't really know whether the metal was going to interrupt the flow. So it does interrupt somewhat. So it's a little slower, but you may still, you know, benefit from something like that if you keep that channel open. That's great. Do you have any questions? Okay, awesome. We'll give her a round of applause. All right, any questions about any of the patches or how to do this protocol? We have the whole body protocol, bottom of the feet, or we have the clock protocol where we move it around. Do you remember how long it lasts? 12 hours, yes. Yeah, some people more actually than 12 hours, but I just say just take them off when they stop working. They're fine in the shower. I wouldn't soak in a hot tub though, because the crystals will start melting faster. So you can shower with them, but like don't go in a hot tub with them. You can exercise with them. We have Olympic swimmers, you know, that broke a bunch of world records when these first came out. And the other, this is a Stanford coach, and they're a very famous swim team, and they got like the doping committee involved because they thought the athletes were doping because they were breaking all their records. And of course, the anti-doping people came and tested them, and they said, yeah, there's nothing goes through the body that we couldn't find anything in the athletes. So in the Beijing Olympics, I don't know for the last 2 Olympics, but the Beijing Olympics, I think we had 300 athletes using them. I think we had more for this past Olympics, but I don't have any official numbers. Not everyone, of course, wanted everyone to know that they had them, but the company knew because they donated them. Does anybody know any veterans who are disabled, who have pain or PTSD or, yeah? Okay, so there is a free patch program for those veterans. So if they are in economic need, this is a brand new program, so the sooner you sign up, the better. Economic need, and they, you know, if they have pain, if they have service-related disability. So if they were in the service but then fell off the ladder and broke something, that doesn't count. But if they have, you know, a service-related disability, then they will qualify. And if you're local here, we would get the patches here and give them out. If you're not local, we'll have some sort of arrangement that those veterans can get it.
Are the VA clinics notified of this?
No, because the VA clinics, there's a lot, because it's through the government, there's a lot of, that's a great question, there's a lot of red tape in order to get something officially okayed by the VA, it's about 14 years. So we can present the information to the VA, but for them to be involved is really complicated. It's much better to do word of mouth, because that way we don't have to go through the VA. But any small organization that's not that organized like the VA, like American Legion, VA, those are like organized entities. It's a little bit more effort and a lot of paperwork to get it through. But if you know of a veteran that could be in need, we're more than happy to help out. Just give us a call or send either Maria and I an email. So we are all done, and you guys may want to take a bathroom break, hydrate, take a stretch, and then we'll be all set. So thanks so much. My pleasure. You don't have slides for this one. We're going to be starting in about 6 minutes, so take a real quick break. Yes.
Karen, I'm so glad I got up at 6 o'clock.
I saw your name on the list.
I love so much. I know I'm talking to her.
I'm setting everybody up. Okay, those of you on the live stream, sorry for the interruption, but we will be back in about 5 minutes. And then, this is the first person he's the better now.
But I'm so glad. There's so much we learned today. So now I think I'm seriously signing up. I had to learn. Yes, that's what I'm talking to Maria. I have to do that.
Yeah, did you go to all my life or something?
But no, when you have a need and you have to utilize, now you know Saranac Now what is okay, now it's different between readers. Yes.
I go to both.
Oh, yeah. In your spare time. In your spare time. Skating. So, when you do something like that.
Yeah, well, it's funny. It does, but I think that the baggage.
Oh, yes, from generation to generation. Yes. I have so much. Yes. I do that.
Yes, everybody together. Yeah. I'm going to see if I can post this again. So are we ready?
All right, have a seat, everybody.
Have a seat, we'll get started.
More paperwork. More work.
So the timing of this talk is actually quite interesting. We've been here for the past 4 hours or so. And this is actually going to be, well, quite honestly, difficult for most people. So we talked about the emotional component. And one other aspect to our being that I found for myself in particular that was very important was to start getting a handle on my thoughts and how truly disconnected I was. So back, actually Karen and I went to a conference in, I believe it was 2007. We happened to, there was a guest speaker there, and his name is John Kehoe, and he talked about mind power. And sat through the lecture, and I actually found it quite fascinating, but it wasn't until about 2011 that when my life literally fell apart, that I realized, oh my gosh, I have to really start working on this. So in 2011, my dream career came true. Kathy's going to say your dream. I owned an inn with my then husband. Dream come true for me. Renovated this old building, got it up and going, and in the process of getting it up and going, I had downsized my practice so I could put all of my energy into building this new business. And all in a matter of a month, actually, a little less than a month. My husband at the time said that he was done. Just done. Now, there had been issues, but I am a marathon runner. I go the distance. And so I don't stop until I've exhausted all options. Steve was a defenseman on an all-star football team, and he comes out fast and hard and then stops. And so we realized our two personalities were, so anyways, he came out hard, and then stopped. And I was totally floored. At that same time, my son was in Afghanistan, and I had received a phone call. The satellite phones traveled around to the different groups of Marines. Mom, you gotta help me. I don't have any water. We don't have any food. The shipments haven't come in. We don't know what we're gonna do. Click. As a mother, do you have any idea what that did to me? I mean, it just satellite cut out. So marriage has ended. My son is needing food and water. Obviously, I'm not getting food and water out to him. I downsized my practice. My practice at the time did not support me, and so it was one thing after another. My life fell apart. Finally, a friend of mine had an intuitive hit that I needed help. She said, "Hey, this is where I hide the keys in my house. Go." She had no idea why she was sending me this email, but she said, "Go." I was actually at that point in a dangerous situation. Steve was alcoholic, had gone into a blackout, had become very violent, and for 24 hours, my life was pretty much hell, to be quite honest. Managed to get out. I took the winter. I was very angry. Just before the motion code, I was very angry, and I thought,
All right, let's get down to bare bones. What is it that I need to do? And I suddenly remembered John Kehoe and the work that John Kehoe did. And so I decided to just roll up the sleeves and dig in and start. So I've had a really fascinating experience after or while I was doing that work. But before I go on with the story, I want to do a little experiment. And actually, wait a minute, I need a stopwatch, so let me just stop it here. We are okay, so for the next 2 measured minutes.
Oh boy.
I'm going to invite you to stick. Can everybody see this orange dot? Okay. I'm going to invite you to focus on just the orange dot. Okay, so let me just starting now. Okay. So, how many people, in focusing on that dot, found that their attention went off the dot? And how many people, when focusing on that dot, then started thinking about Kathy saying, chicken feet? So, good exercise. Now, this is a tough time. I mean, we've just been sitting here for how long now? And some of us have eaten, and this is really hard. The point in doing this exercise is to see how we essentially sleepwalk. How we go through life, our bodies are going in one direction, our thoughts are going in another direction. Who the heck knows where our desires are and where our energy is going? And we go through life trying to hit the piñata. And we can't, because our attention and our thoughts are not focused on a target, not zoomed in together. And the next part of the story was I can laugh now. Trust me, I was not laughing at the time. So I go through the winter. I'm starting to gain ground. I'm doing a lot of exercising now and putting all my focus into my practice. And since my practice didn't support me at the time, I was working per diem at AMC in the physical therapy department. It just so happened I had a couple friends there. One of them was a physical therapist, had to have knee surgery. They needed help in the rehab. So I said, yeah, sure, I'll fill in. A little bit of extra income will help me get back on my feet financially. I was there, enthusiastic, gung-ho, but then suddenly oh my gosh, I'm entrenched in this traditional medicine again, and I'm not, my hands are tied and I'm not able to do the things that I really want to do to be able to help people. I can't express what I really want to express in terms of insights that I have, etc. So I began to start saying to myself, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here. But on Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and occasionally a Saturday, I was there 8 hours. I don't want to be here. But I would go. And I would go because I was obligated. I would go because I needed money. I would go because, whatever. I didn't want to leave Chris hanging. So I'm saying I don't want to go. Well, part of being at the hospital, you need to go through vaccines. And so I had there's the hepatitis B, and it's a series of 3 injections, 3 vaccines. So I have the first one, and I'm fine. I have the second one, and I have a reaction. I literally, in the nurse's office, have the injection. I don't even make it to the PT department, and the room is spinning, and one of the nurses looked at me and said, "Are you okay?" And I said, "No, they actually had to get me a wheelchair. I couldn't stay. The room was spinning. Bring me down to the ER." I end up in the ER for several hours. They can't figure out what's wrong. As it turns out, it's a reaction to the hepatitis B. There is no recorded history at the Central Disease Control of anyone having a reaction to hepatitis B. And yet here I have this reaction to hepatitis B. Did I listen to that? No. So, keep going, keep going. I don't want to, keep going. I don't want to, I keep going. And so again, there's that split. So I'm working with someone on a Saturday morning, little old lady, lovely, lovely person. And she actually collapses in my arms because of a cardiac condition that had not been identified. She collapses. I catch her. She doesn't fall. I catch her, get her back on the bed, but in the process of doing so, I pull muscles in my back. Did I listen?
No.
So I keep going. I did listen. No, I don't want to go. I still go. No, I don't want. I'm not listening to what my subconscious, what my heart, what I really want to do. I'm not listening. And so one morning, darn, I do not want to go, but I told Chris I was going to go, and it's her last day. I want to go. I want, and I really, every fiber of my body is telling me not to go to work. I was per diem. I could have very easily technically said, hey, I'm so sorry, but I'm not able to come today. But I went, and all day long, I don't want to be here. And the last person, very last person, happened to be a person who, much taller than I, happened to weigh twice as much as I weigh, happened to have a knee replacement 36 hours, 30 hours or so before, so still was on a morphine pump and on lots of other medications. The nurse needed help transferring this woman from the chair to the bed, and in the process of transferring this woman from the chair to the bed, there was a drug interaction. She went into an anxiety attack, and it was severe. Now, Now, I have lots of experience in PT. I'm used to different scenarios. I pulled every trick out of the book. I could not get this person to calm down. I was physically up against her shoulder, leaning on my with my breastbone up against her arm. I had my arms around her. Nurse couldn't get to us because she was tangled up in an IV pole and furniture.
Whoa.
And I realized we are going down. And so it was either she was going to push me off to the side. I looked back, I saw the bed, and I just, as we were going down, I pulled her back, thinking, well, I'm going to land on the bed. My butt's going to land on the bed. She'll land next to me. Instead, what happened, what I didn't calculate was that her walker would take my legs out. And when I landed on the bed, I landed with my butt off the bed back turned, and 250 pounds landed on me. She slipped off of me. I grabbed her. At that point, the nurse was able to get to us, and we actually got her, picked her up off the bed. I was in total 100% survival mode at that point. It wasn't until I was driving to a friend's house, who's a physical therapist, that I realized my pants were wet. Damn, why the heck are my pants wet? I don't know. Well, unbeknownst to me, there was actually damage done to a couple different segments in my vertebrae that caused nerve damage, and I lost control of my bladder. And it took over a year to get that control back. And actually, a few doctors had told me it's impossible, it's never going to come back. So at that point, I did listen. I was in rough shape, and it's been 3 years now, and I still every day deal with some of the repercussions of that whole thing. It took me, you know, I came at the John Kehoe information, you know, from a place of ego. I've got this, I've got this. And then it suddenly occurred to me one day, damn, no I don't, because look what happened. I had to claim the responsibility of what happened to me. We live in two worlds. We have our inner world, which are our thoughts and our feelings. And we have the outer world, which is the chairs, the room, the chairs we're sitting on, our clothes, the people in our lives and situations. Those two worlds are two separate worlds. Now, most of us, as we just learned through that exercise, go around in life, what I did, is I allowed the outer world to influence my inner world. If I had listened to that voice inside of me and given that more power with my acknowledgement and attention to that, then I would have controlled what happened in the outer world. And instead, I didn't. I let the outer world, the expectations that I was supposed to go to work, the obligation of being at work, the desire to help Chris out when things were really crazy in the rehab, I let those things, money, that was actually the biggest driver. I let money make the decisions for me. And well, it appears that I paid for it. In the end, it was an incredible gift, because what typically appears to be bad or negative doesn't necessarily mean that it's bad and it's negative. There's an opportunity there. And for me, the opportunity was actually to start learning this work and to start integrating within my practice, working with other people, the energy, the emotion code, and then just some of the other energy template work that I do, because I couldn't physically do the things in my practice that I used to do. I wasn't stable. I was the seaweed. Physically, I was the seaweed in the water, but then also energetically, so was I, because I wasn't connected. I didn't have my consciousness and subconsciousness in the same focus. They were kind of disconnected. So we all walked through life completely, sleepwalking and trying to find the pinata. What John Kehoe, I went back to all of that training, and I had to first suck it up, and I had to say, you know what? I caused that accident. I am the cause. I am the one to blame, not the woman who fell, not the hospital, not anybody. It was me. I had to claim that responsibility, and only when I was willing to claim that responsibility was I then able to make a difference. So not only do we have this subconscious and consciousness, but we also have this inner world and an outer world. Another example of an outer world influence there, if, say for example, you feel really great about yourself, you're productive, you have a family, you're able to provide for your family, you have a great house, take great vacations, do community service or whatever really rocks your boat. You go and you're just high on life, and you go to work in the morning and your boss says, sorry, I have to fire you. And suddenly that rug gets pulled out from underneath you. Well, suddenly all of those self-doubts start to surface, and then you don't feel good about yourself, and you don't feel good about anything in your life. Oh, my marriage, oh, my kids, oh, my da 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 da. Well, that's an outer world experience that's suddenly influencing your inner world, versus the person who allows that inner world experience to control the outer world and says, cool, there is an opportunity waiting for me here. What is it? And that confidence and that esteem that he feels for himself is totally intact and totally untouched. Is not touched. That inner world, our feelings, our beliefs about ourselves, nothing can touch that except for ourselves. Lots can happen on the outside world. It can fall apart, as I experienced. But it didn't have to affect my inner world the way I allowed it to. Sweet learning experience, no doubt. But it didn't.
Oh, I was just going to say, Eldon Taylor, who's an author colleague of mine, he has a saying in one of his books called Choices and Illusions. And I started using a saying because I liked it. He said, when anything bad happens, he says, say to yourself, I can't wait to see what good comes out of this. You know?
Yeah, exactly, immediately.
You know? And I had a car accident. Well, somebody rammed into the rental car at this conference. And, everyone was like, oh, I'm so sorry. Oh, this awful has happened. And I'm like, must be a reason why. So I was thinking, well, it's a Sunday. I'm going to call the insurance guy. And while I'm on the phone with him, he goes, I really think my daughter needs to see you. We've been waiting way too long, and now that you've called, we're making an appointment. And I was like, I got it. Thank you much.
Yeah. You never know. So I have to give a word of warning. Once you start even just hearing this information and realizing, holy cow, we have choices, I have the ability, then we can't blame anyone else. Well, you could try lying to yourself, but you're lying to yourself. And so it's really important. That was the phase that was probably the toughest phase I went through, was realizing there was no such thing as victimhood. I couldn't, oh, poor me. I couldn't do it. I was responsible. Why? We've never been taught. We don't have this ability to focus in our consciousness and our subconsciousness. It's simply through neglect that we can't do it. It's not, we've never been taught. Our parents never taught us. Schools never taught us. Religion never taught us. We simply haven't been taught. And so here's an opportunity to start playing around with it and learning some of the skills. Has anyone in your adult years, has anyone ever tried, I don't know, playing an instrument or learning how to use a computer or doing something totally out of the norm and totally unfamiliar?
Mm-hmm.
When you approach a task, an unfamiliar task, you have to you have to approach it from a place of this childlike curiosity. I wonder. It's only when you approach it from a childlike curiosity that you can truly take in information and learn. If you approach it, oh, I already know. I already know this stuff. If you don't have that, if you have that closed mind, then you're really stuck in this intellectual realm, and you're not allowing the information to really come in to your core, to really experience it and really learn it. I've been working with the John Kehoe stuff. And I actually printed out some of the exercises. I do those exercises every day, 20 to 30 minutes. Would you believe that I've been doing it for months now? I occasionally will get off of it and then I get back on. I've been doing it for months now. Would you believe that when I contemplate a law, which is written on your in your sheet, and we'll go over it, that I will still say, oh my gosh, I hadn't thought about it that way. Wait a minute, if thoughts are real forces, they're real forces. That means I don't have to work so hard. All I have to do is think it, and it'll happen. Why am I burning myself out trying to do whatever? And so you start to like, holy cow, and the light bulb goes off, and the light bulb goes off, and the information, you start experiencing the information more and more. So to be able to learn anything, you have to really come into it from a childlike curiosity and that willingness to put everything that you know, putting it on the back burner. Otherwise, you'll never be able to take in the information the way you could. You know, it might get filtered, but it doesn't really come in. I always bring notes with me because I get off on these tangents and that's where I am. So probably the most important piece of information is knowing that two worlds, that inner world, that outer world, exists simultaneously, but they're not connected. One can influence the other, but they really are two separate worlds, and that's really important to understand. You know, think about some moments. Probably today, you're driving here. You're driving. You've been driving cars now for a long time. It's automatic. We are an automatic pilot. What were you thinking about? Were you thinking about how comfortable the chairs were? Were you thinking about what am I doing afterwards? Is it going to rain? Is it going to be sunny? Is it...
Am I going to be here on time for those free gifts?
I can be here on time for those free gifts. No. Those are some of the... Even sitting here, I'm talking, but if you're in this room, sitting on these chairs, if I have not captured your 100% attention, you're split. You're in two different worlds right now. Half of you is in one and half of you is in another. Or you might be all in, I don't know. But you're not. Who knows? You're not all here. And so the goal is to be able to identify that, yes, there are these two worlds. Yes, they both exist. Yes, we can influence them. That when we can bring our thoughts and our actions into the same focus, then we're able to, if we have a desire of anything, we have a clearer chance of hitting that target, that desired target, whatever that might be. And so that all needs to be cultivated. We've never been taught, so we need to learn. And when you learn anything new, it takes a lot of patience. It takes a tremendous amount of discipline and persistence. And before I came here, I actually went out, and remember, I've been doing this. But the past few days, I had slacked off, and I hadn't been doing it. And so when I went out today, I have, believe it or not, been able to come back into running. Not the way I used to run, but I have been able to come back into running for at least part of the year and part of my monthly cycle. So I'm getting there. But I went out for a run this morning. And so here I am about to stand up and talk about this. I'm running. And as I'm running, I'm thinking about, oh, that darn hill. I'm never going to be able to do that hill. I haven't done this hill in a long time. I'm never going to be able to do it. You know what? I'm going to totally screw up today. And it went on and on and on. And I caught myself and I thought, I am never going to be off the hook from this stuff. I will always need to practice this and work on this. So I did get the hill. I did have to stop at the top of the hill, but at least it was at the top and not in the middle. And then I had to laugh at myself and say, okay, so after the seminar, I'm going to have to spend that 20 minutes again and get back into it and hone in on it. The other realization that I had during this run, which was really fascinating, I started feeling the pain that I typically do if I overextend myself. And I suddenly had this awareness, wait, everything in the outer world right now is supporting me. So why am I experiencing this pain, and why do I have these huge peaks and valleys of this pain? And it suddenly occurred to me that even within my inner world, I don't even know if I can articulate this correctly, but even within my inner world and in the relationship of the pain and the injury, there's still a split in my beliefs and in my thoughts, and I thought, wow, I need to really explore that. And again, I had to get ready for here, but I just suddenly had this awareness, and so again, it was as if I dropped into another level of awareness, and who knows where that will even take me. So, if you're willing to come into this, with a childlike curiosity, and for me a sense of humor, and willing to put everything that you think you know out on the back burner, then you can start really understanding these, as John Kehoe says, the 6 laws. They're on your paper. So the first law is that thoughts are real forces. Did everybody, was there enough? Did everybody get it?
There's more of them right here.
Okay, all right, good. If someone didn't get it, then Donna will give them to you. So thoughts are real forces. And those aren't just words. They're not just, oh, thoughts are real forces. I'm talking they're real forces. They really can make a difference when they're lined up and focused on a target. The second law is the mind is a sending and receiving station of thought. So if we are thinking thoughts, we know that thoughts and emotions have a frequency, and that frequency is going out into our exterior world, then those thoughts will affect those outside of us, just as we receive them, and it affects our inner world. So it's really important to think about who are the people you socialize with. I literally stopped watching the news. When Travis was in Afghanistan, and I was watching news, and all I heard about, I was just bombarded by all this fear and negativity. I wasn't sleeping at night, and I would wake up in an absolute panic, anxiety. Something happened to Travis, and I literally put on my running shoes, and 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning, I was running down Route 73. State troopers knew me. Town people, plows going out, they knew if they saw a headlight, reflective gear, it was me. And they would occasionally stop and they'd say, "Hey, Marie, you okay?" "Yeah, I'm all right." Tears are falling down. "I'm all right." So I realized, boy, I'm being bombarded. And I'm trying to work. I'm trying to help other people. Well, how the heck? I mean, how efficient was I? How effective was I? Overwhelmed with such fear and anxiety. So I stopped watching the news. I stopped hanging around people who were either negative or I was involved in with a group of people who were very politically oriented, and it was just constant political conversations, and I finally just had to say, can't do it. So something to think about: the books we read, the movies we watch. I can't do violent movies. I mean, without a doubt, I have some degree of PTSD because what happens in my body when I see something violent, see something about the military, it's pretty intense. So I just make sure that I surround myself with people who support me and movies and books and things that feel really good and help raise that vibrational level. So law of attraction. Thoughts that are emotionalized will become magnetized and will attract similar energies. So you have a thought, and behind it you have a lot of anger, you have a lot of fear, you have a lot of whatever. That is magnetized, and that's what you're sending out. You're going to get it back. And so it's really important to become aware of what are our thoughts and what are the emotions attached to those thoughts. The law of control. Our consciousness is constantly in motion. We are constantly having thoughts. Doesn't stop unless we train it. It does not stop. So we have the ability to insert whatever thought or actually entertain that thought or dismiss them. We switched into the next law here. So I'm running. I'm never going to make this hill. I'm going to screw up today. I caught myself and said, whoa, wait a minute. I don't want that thought anymore. And I ditched it and I focused on the tree. I focused on my posture. I focused on my running technique. I changed. I shifted my thought. So how many of you have had a situation happen years ago, and to this day you still carry that tape, still replays in your mind? Exactly. I bet you in all cases that that scenario was not necessarily a feel-good scenario. Okay, so lower vibration, stuck, obviously lots of emotions. So we have nice big balls of energy, of frequencies that are stuck in our body. We're constantly replaying that tape. What is that going to do to the health of our body, the well-being of our body? It's not. Another reason why it's so important to be aware of what tape is playing over and over. What burden are we carrying, and when on earth are we going to drop that burden? That's where the emotion code can come in handy. Law of insertion. This is a real fun one, because if a thought pops up, you can say, nah, see ya, and insert another one. And so when I'm running up that hill and I'm not going to make that hill, I pull that one out and I put in that I was going to make the hill. I might have to stop at the top, but darn it, I was going to make that hill. And I did. In the process of saying, I'm going to run that hill, I'm sending, my conscious mind is sending my physical body, my physiology, the permission to do its job, which was to run as smoothly as I could up that hill with as much grace as I possibly could muster. And it did. I gave myself, just by shifting my thought, I gave my body permission to do exactly what it's been wanting to do. I kept getting in the way. I got out of my own way. The law of connection, which is the last law, is that the inner world and the outer worlds are connected. They're influenced by one another, as we've talked about. Two totally different worlds, but influenced by one another. There is a fantastic technique. And I don't know if I put this on here. I may have forgotten. Oh, no, I didn't. Do you guys have on your, I may have messed up. Do you guys have a weeding out exercise? Yeah. Yeah, okay, cool. Okay, number 6. I didn't keep a copy for myself, so I wasn't sure. There is this very fun, I absolutely love this exercise. It's called weeding out negatives. So, you can, there's a couple different ways of weeding out negatives. You have a negative thought. I can't make it up this hill. I can literally imagine big scissors and cutting it and completely removing it. And then you can insert something different. I could have stood back and said, this is really interesting, and I'm having this negative thought. Observe it, but not judge it. Wow, this is really fascinating. This is so curious. Negatives only have power over you when you allow them. It's as simple as that. We can try to make it as difficult as we want. But the point is, it's simple. If we want to attach to a negative, then it will have more control over us than we have over it. The next one is, I'm exaggerating to absolute ridiculousness.
Yes, that was my favorite.
That is my all-time favorite. So, I'm not going to make it up the hill. Oh my gosh, I'm not going to make it up the hill. Why am I not making it up the hill? I can't breathe. Oh my God, if I can't breathe, I'm not getting any oxygen. Oh my God, so what am I going to be breathing? Bugs? Wait, no, the bugs aren't out. Well, what would I be breathing? Oh gosh, tree pollen. Holy cow. That means I'm going to start sneezing like crazy. I'm going to be in front of a camera, in front of live stream, in front of all of you, and I'm going to start sneezing. And all of a sudden, all this green stuff is going to start coming out of my nose. Oh my God, what am I going to do? And then you guys are going to sit there and say, oh my gosh, she's contaminated, and you're going to leave. What am I going to do? What am I going to say to Karen? See what I mean? And you just make it absolutely ridiculous to the point where you just crack up laughing. The minute you do that, you have control over it. It does not have control over you. And so you can get really, I've had some really comical, pretty comical ones. And I hadn't even thought about that. I created that on the spot. So just to show you that you can get really creative on the wing, and you just, whatever pops into your mind that's absolutely ridiculous and insane, you just pop in there and you just keep rolling with it. So when I had you do, let's do it again. We won't go as long. Now that you know this information, oops, I kept my, I want you to focus now on this dot. As you focus on the dot, start to contemplate in your mind. I wonder what she used to, as an example, I wonder what she used to create that dot. Well, that's really interesting paper. I wonder if that dot pops right out because of the pattern around the paper. Start contemplating. Start questioning. Start thinking about with that childlike curiosity. And see how far you can go. And the second another thought comes in, this woman is crazy. Whatever. Well, if you're still stuck on the chicken feed, bring your attention back. It's when you bring your attention back to the orange dot is the moment you start training your thoughts. You start training your mind. It's the moment that we start gaining personal power. It's the moment that we start recognizing that, hey, you know what? I do have control. So let's do it again. We'll just do it for a minute this time. Okay. Did you find it was a little easier? Mm-hmm. Yeah. the moment that we have that awareness that we can control, that we do have power, just having that awareness and giving ourselves that acknowledgement, it starts the process. On the bottom of the sheet, there is a website, and John Kehoe has a book, and he has this home study program. This was the home study program that I had purchased, and it's the one tucked away, packed in a box or whatever, and never pulled it out until I realized that I was really in trouble and needed to try to regain control in my life. And he when he does the trainings live, it's actually a 4-week training program, and he meets 1 day a week, and then he has people do the exercises for that 1 week. This is the first week on the set of exercises, and quite honestly, what I found is that I could stay on these exercises for much longer than a single week, because the exercises progress in nature. And so if you're interested in more information, then feel free to go on his website. He's got a book and then the DVD series. I forgot what I was going to say here. I personally am eternally grateful for the work that he's brought forth. He's been introducing this or teaching this around the world for the past 30 years, I think. When you get a hint of some of these basic fundamental laws, then you can apply them in any area of your life. So, for example, the law of insertion. So why not every morning start our day with inserting thoughts and beliefs and affirmations about health and happiness and success and whatever we want to put out there, knowing that when we put it out there, and we put it out there with a lot of oomph, that we'll get that back and more back into our lives. So it's just something to think about, something to play around with, and something to consider. So does anybody have any questions?
So the big benefit is that, what would you say is the biggest benefit for you of learning this mind power stuff?
The biggest benefit is realizing that whatever I'm not happy with in my outer world meaning either in finances or my practice or my relationships, obviously my health, my well-being, that I have total control over. And I just need to claim responsibility, and I need to take actions to discipline myself and to really fine-tune.
Some people might think that, that taking responsibility means like blaming oneself, and that could feel really bad.
Yeah.
So could you like clarify?
Yeah,
that
so
part?
Claiming responsibility is not, for example, me saying, darn it, I should listen to myself, but it's saying, wow, from this point forward, I now know, thanks to that woman Dawn, I now know that I have control, that I can make a difference in my own life, that I don't need to be, I don't need economics, the recession, to affect me financially, or I don't need whatever. I don't need when Irene came through Keene, I happened to be chairman of Keene Business Association, and our area was devastated, not from the physical flood, but from a notice that DEC put out across the country, which was High Peaks closed indefinitely. Our businesses lost, in a week's time, 3 major businesses lost $380,000 in 1 week. Those businesses, one in particular, had to lay off some employees. Well, you know, everybody, quite honestly, in the town of Keene at the time, we were pissed off at DEC, pissed off at Irene that she made it inland the way she did, pissed off because we weren't getting help. You know, just constantly pissed off. But what ended up happening is when word came out that DEC had, I was actually helping to shovel mud out of someone's house when I heard about DEC putting out that announcement, and an inn, a local inn, lost 17 nights of reservations in the month of October. Irene happened in August. They lost the reservations in the month of October, and the guests were from Montana, and that's how powerful it was. I immediately got on the phone, and I started calling DEC, and I worked all the way up, and I ended up connecting with the public relations person, and we ended up working just about round the clock. Our communications were till about 11:30. One night it started back up at 5 in the morning, and I was working with Chris Gibson and some other people. The outcome of that was getting invited to a talk a year and a half later, I think it was, where I happened to be in a couple other communities. Their business people happened to be guest speakers at this panel discussion, and DEC literally started, DEC, government agency, literally started to change their policy to work more closely with communities. And it happened because of Irene coming through Keene. And so, you know, in any situation, there's that opportunity, and you have to get out of your own way to seize that opportunity. And that's probably, if I were to sum it up, it's I can get out of my own way now. Mm. I can recognize that when my thoughts say I'm not going to make it up the hill, I'm going to screw up at the talk, I'm going to, that those are all lies. And I don't have to listen to those lies that my mind. How the heck do I know if I'm going to screw up at the talk? I was running up the hill. I wasn't here in this room. I didn't screw up, by the way. You know, how did I know? So we have to really be able to discern how our minds tend to distract us, and that we truly can't believe our thoughts. We can't believe our minds, and the more we work with this material, the more we gain that control and that power.
Awesome.
So, any other questions? So, does anybody have, let's see, out of all the information that was offered today, are there any questions that ended up brewing up during the course of the day? Karen, there was the website you wanted. What was the website that you...
The planes that spewed out clean.
Oh, yes. Why in the world are they spraying?
Oh, yeah.
Find that you agree with in YouTube. By the way, you know, she talks about surrounding herself with positive energy. James has been really awesome as a partner, and I'm very sensitive to these kinds of things too. So when he's killing zombies on the video game, he has his headphones on now, and it's like, wow, the house is so different. I really didn't know how much stress that was causing me. And it wasn't so much, if I sit there and watch him kill zombies, it's like watching a movie. That's one thing. I'm consciously, you know, wanting to do that. But then if I'm cooking or doing something on the computer or creating something and I'm hearing death and screams in the background, I had no idea how stressful that was until he put the headphones on. And I was like, this is like a completely new house. So you got to discover, these things, what works for you, what doesn't work for you. And Documentary Wire, you may want to put that down to documentaryWire.com. A great place to get really cool documentaries about health, about our food, about our EMFs, about different things in the world if you're connected to the web. So we're done for today. We have a Q&A now, so if you want to ask any of the presenters any questions, now's the time to do it. Or if you wanted to test your brain balance or see if we can get you balanced with the patches, I can also test you as well if you want to do that and you didn't have a chance to do it. So thank you again for everyone coming. Yeah.
Are we still asking questions?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, and I mentioned this to Kathy earlier about diet stuff. She mentioned the Weston Price Foundation, and I'm very familiar with that whole philosophy. But there's also the whole other philosophy of eating for people with chronic inflammation, where it's completely raw food or veganism, and those two things that are so different. And I'm just wondering if you have any experience in preferences or how you would direct some of to. Obviously, we're eating whole foods, we're eating,
right.
As good as possible. But
that's a great question. I interviewed Sally, Fallon, actually, the author of Nourishing Traditions, and she said when you have 5 generations of fertile people, that diet is probably okay. We have not had 5 generations of fertile vegetarian, vegan people yet. So for pain, a lot of people have chronic fatigue with their fibromyalgia, which means their little adrenal glands, their stress glands are really burnt out. Adrenal glands need vitamin A. Guess what? Vitamin A does not occur in vegetables. That's beta-carotene. Vitamin A is in the saturated fat, like that wonderful duck fat that Kathy bought. And so the adrenals need saturated fat. I know, the American Medical Association, everybody says eat low fat. Well, guess what? We've got more heart disease, more diabetes. Now, if somebody is vegetarian because of an ethical issue, that's one thing, but for health reasons, we really don't have really good long-term generational data that's healthy. So I think, when you get good effects from eating raw diet, I think it's because you cut out all the crap processed food, not necessarily because you stop eating meat. Now, of course, if you eat a lot of meat that's been fed genetically modified corn, that and the cows are really stressed, I think that does transfer energetically and physically to our bodies. So some studies will show harm eating too much meat. That can make sense to me as well, but they have never done a study showing harm eating pastured meat versus conventional meat. And that's a study that they really need to do. It's hard to do because it's all retrospective. You can't do a prospective study, which is the best one to do, where you just divide people into 2 groups and force them to eat one and force the other people to eat that, and that's just not going to happen. So in my book, there's a whole, that's the biggest chapter is on nutrition because there's so much information there. I have like a 3-step process for people that have pretty much eaten junk food or the standard American diet. I don't expect you to completely cook every single bit of your food and never eat processed food. So I have like a 3-stage beginner, medium, and kind of high-end advanced. So I tell people, you might want to start with the beginner, which is maybe just taking away all the sugar and the sodas and just eating less boxed and packaged foods. And then the medium might be where you're going to eat some of the organic versions of the most toxic vegetables, and maybe try, going to farmers markets, that kind of thing. And the advance is you're off grains, you're off dairy, all these things that can cause inflammation in the body. So, I'm obviously, because Kathy's here, obviously I'm more, leaning towards what the Western LifeWave Price Foundation teaches. I don't eat a lot of grains, honestly, because I have found that it causes inflammation in my body. And, I have family members that are gluten sensitive. So, I'll eat it from time to time, but not that often because I just realize it doesn't work that well with my body. So if I stick to a more Paleolithic kind of caveman diet, it works better for me. So I think everybody, and we can actually do muscle testing as part of, dietary, is this good for your highest degree? It's good to do all the time.
That's what I started doing. I didn't know either. I do a pendulum because I trust the pendulum more than my muscle testing right now. I'm working on it and practicing. But I'll say, is this good for me right now? And I think because your body's so different at different times of day and everything else, and you can do it to, eventually for your family in the way too. So it's a way to find out what would be good for you.
And actually, there's a muscle testing class. If you go and get your free excerpt of the book at KarenCan.com, it'll give you an email with a link to 5 free webinar classes, and one of the classes is on muscle testing. So we did it really quick here. I didn't do it very detailed, but it's more detailed in that webinar. So I encourage you to watch that and kind of practice some of the self-muscle testing, you know, that Marie and I do. And we've done it thousands upon thousands of times, and that's how much practice it takes to get really good at it. So it's not 100%, you know, and you're not going to win the lottery. You can't diagnose diseases with it, but you can ask if you have any imbalances and is this food for my highest and greatest good. And then, you know, the ALCAT test pamphlet here, where a lot of people have allergies and food intolerances, and we find lots of things from that, you know, that test. But sometimes they're like, I can't afford, you know, the $600 for the test, but I think I probably have food sensitivity. So then we just ask the body, you know, can you tell us what food sensitivities does the body have? And we can test that and then even desensitize it with the patches, but that's a completely different course altogether, how to do that.
So you don't think red meat causes inflammation?
Well, it depends where it comes from. Absolutely,
Well, okay,
yeah.
so let's just assume that
it's pastured
yeah,
and humanely.
Yeah, it's bought in the farmer's market,
Right.
or whatever. You know, help me. Yeah.
Right.
You know, there's, Julie, there's, if I might interject, there's a nutritionist, Lynn Rectus, it's hyphenated, I forgot her last name. What she noticed in her clinic was that people would lose weight to a certain point and then stop losing weight, or their whatever disease process might be going on, they get better to a certain point, but then they wouldn't. And what she, through the systemized way or approach, she identified that what is good for one person isn't for another, that we all have unique chemistries, unique hormonal makeups. The name of the book is called The Plan, and it's a systemized way of approaching how to identify foods that cause an inflammatory process in your body than not. And that might be it's RECITAS, and I forgot but it's called The Plan. If you put The Plan, meal plan, it'll immediately come up. If you put a plan, just call The Plan, if you end up with financial stuff. It's another topic. But you might want to explore that. For me, that was one of the aspects of my healing that I had to identify, because I tend to be an inflammatory type of person. I'm perimenopausal, so it was even more so. And then with this whole injury and the nerve damage and everything, I mean, I was really sensitive to any little fluctuations. Who on earth would think that having 1 ounce of red pepper, you know, red pepper, organic red pepper, I would gain 1.2 pounds.
Gluten-free wrap, 2 pounds overnight. Red pepper. And so I identified, you just need a digital scale, and you have to be consistent with water intake. But I identified red pepper, identified cheeses, especially goat cheese, holy Toledo. The picture that ended up coming out in this, at the end of it, she has 20 days of meals made out, specifically starting you off on a 3-day detox, which I couldn't eat all the food. She has your plate full, and it's good stuff. I mean, we're not, there's no deprivation that occurs on this diet. And so what she does is she starts you off with foods that tend to be least reactive, and she slowly introduces foods that are more reactive.
When I went back to visit my parents, they had a meat pie. I knew gluten was going to get me in trouble. So I tried to not eat the gluten, so I scraped the crust off. I had enough gluten that the following day I had a full-blown flare-up, including losing bowel or bladder control. It was all inflammatory, and it was from that little bit of gluten that I got. And that particular day, I was sitting in a nursing home with my grandmother for about 6 hours, and I was, oh my gosh, I pulled myself out, but with the patches actually. Now that I've been on this diet for a little over a year now, I have any little food, and Karen mentioned this, I have any little food that causes an inflammatory response, and it's huge. So I have to be really attentive not to.
And I just don't have those kind of obvious reactions to food in general.
Yep.
And,
Lynn talks about that in the book, by the way.
you know, it's just been an ongoing journey for me.
Yeah.
And, you know, some people have very strong opinions about it. And these are people that are on, you know, cutting edge medical,
Right.
you know, forefronts, and, you know. So anyway, it's just all of
Yeah, and I actually quote David Wolf in my book too, because he's vegan and raw guy. And you know, she talks about thoughts creating things. If someone is really truly in love with veganism, I don't try to change them because their thoughts are more important about it. If they feel it's going to make them healthy, that is more important than my opinion that they shouldn't be vegan. I can share my opinion, but I'm not going to force them because the belief is stronger than all those different things.
Absolutely.
So,
and the challenge comes when they're your, you know, healthcare provider, and they're bringing
Yeah, you're right.
this information to you, and you're trying to figure out what feels best for me.
Yeah.
And you don't, and then I get in, you know, the conversations because I don't find that maybe that recommendation works for me.
right.
And
And
then
we can even test whole diets. You know, and somebody said, can you check? Do you think this diet be good? And I'm like, I don't know. Well, let's ask your subconscious. You know, so we'll actually muscle test. You know, where there's, you know, with this, you know, the genotype diet be for your highest and greatest good. No. Okay. With the blood type diet be no. With veganism be no. Okay. With the zone diet be for your highest and greatest good. Yes. So at that moment, the body goes, yeah, I really want that. Now, whether I intellectually think that's what they really need, I probably like, I'm not a big dairy person. You know, dairy, cane, damp, that's Chinese medicine. But if their body says yes, we'll go with it and see, and then they can see how it reacts with them. So that's kind of like the poor man's ACAT test, basically.
Yeah, Julie, ultimately, you know your body better than
Well,
anyone.
It's a great journey, really. I mean, and those reactions only occur after we've detoxified off and stuff. So, you know, learn to muscle test, or have one of us, or come to you for an appointment. We can muscle test you and just see what your subconscious is, because after a while you get really good at actually feeling it. So, but this is years and years and years of practice. So don't feel bad if you're like, I don't really know what my body wants. You know, that's okay. But you're here and you want to, and that's the best thing.
That's the first step.
So that's a great question. Okay, other questions?
What about getting your book other than downloading it?
Oh, getting book. At the physical book, you can get it. Actually, the Maple Moose bookstore around the corner has it. Like Classic, they have it. You can order from any, you know, bookstore. If you order from Amazon or Barnes & Noble, you can just shoot me an email, and I will do an autograph plate for you and just mail it to you, you know, with my signature. Just make sure you give what name you want, in case you want to give it to somebody and I don't have the right name. So I'm happy to do that free of charge for you.
You said you would do like another brain balance? Because I missed that first.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, you missed it? Oh, okay. Yeah, so we were testing people for their stress response and seeing if their brain was balanced.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I can test you. Yeah. Before we do that, does anybody else have any other questions? So you will, thanks everyone for also filling out your sheets. We will be doing some webinars in the future, and in fact, I'm going to be doing one on the emotion code, and we're actually going to be doing, taking people live on the call and working on them. So if you want to get some work done on you, you definitely want to pay attention to that email, because you'll be invited to that, and nobody will be able to see you, but what's really neat is you can do it at a distance, just like we did it through proxy. I do all the releases on my body, and we did one on pain. It was really fascinating. We had like 7 people in the room, and 6 out of the 7 had decreased pain after we released the chapter motion, so it was pretty neat.
All right, great. Well, thank you everyone for coming.
Thank you for
Yeah, I'll send it in an email. So I appreciate you guys for coming.
And also,
Thanks to our presenters.
yeah, you guys are great. Also,
The Silent Nights. Oh, did I? 18. She was with you?
But she had that was very interesting, wasn't it? Like, I don't so that books like some of the yes. Mesh that.
Yeah, that'll cost great time. But a couple things to talk about first. One thing is make sure she turns off her cell phone at night. Get out all the electronic equipment out of the house. Or unplug that tonight. So really well. TV, unplug that. Computer, never have a laptop charging in the room. When she's off the Wi-Fi, you can. Some people have that but that's amazingly toxic. That vibration. They already have this issue that's getting worse. I had one lady who, I don't know, 10 years in this house, I finally suggested no shit to be in your room. So I said, well, can you move it out? And she said, no, my husband's not going to let me. I said, well, just do me a favor, just unplug it. And she goes, well, it's not true. And I said, just unplug it. You have a satellite, just unplug it. And she said, it's best let she had 10 years just by doing that one thing. But the Silent Nights patches can help, and I think she probably needs the stress one too, because because that brings balance. So let me show you how to do that. So you're gonna give this over. Okay, so we're stronger on box. You're not very balanced. Let's try to get some feel as well. See how you're stronger on box? Can you feel it? Okay, so that means your energy's running backwards in the body. You're also stressed. So let's see if we can do it correctly. Oh, great!
I think you should go to the seminar.
So do you get any patches from Dan?
No, I'm here to learn about
figure out.
I'm friends with Dan. I've actually not.
Oh, you're not a client? Okay, so let's see.
I'm a veteran, which
Oh, you are?
yeah.
There you go. Yep, he has that paperwork too, but. Right, so let's see. Let's try this point first. That point works for you. And in fact, you are so much stronger. You said I had to do twice as much pressure to push you down. Can you feel a difference? So if you can okay, try it. Sorry. I'm going to take it off. Over here. So there's a big difference once you take it off. So here's one point. The other point here. You can also put it on here. This is good. Third eye. Touch point. Right now. That's really good. Yeah, so this is what's really good. Check to see if this one works for you. Now we're going to do the other part right now. Put your arms the other arm. The left side of try that again. Yeah. All right, so that point works too. So obviously, you just have to make I wasn't sure. Did you sign in? No. Yes. Yes. We'll there's a video that shows you how to get in this way. We can always skip them, if we want to patch myself or Dan or Mary, whoever you want to. Just try them out.
And in the sleep ones, All right, so remove the electronics. That makes sense.
Yeah, definitely remove electronics, the any aspartame, any MSG, from the diet.
Yeah, we don't do aspartame.
Yeah, that's
Unless it's by chances. We don't.
Right.
Typically, we don't.
Were you here for meetings? Did we talk about the emotion code? Not the last time. Yeah. So the emotion code I find very helpful. Yeah. So especially for the age group, that's, I got to tell you, that's one of my favorite age groups to treat.
One, she's been therapy. It's just like,
50 is not deep enough. I mean, it's nice to have someone listen to you, but we need to heal.
right.
So, did she have trouble at school when she was in school?
Yeah, she's still in
Oh, she's in school. Okay. Yeah. Is she like super sensitive kind of person? Is she like a sponge or just?
Yeah.
Was she when she was really little? Was she sensitive? Like was she cry easily or?
She cried easily. She's always very high.
Sounds like James.
My sense
got into a lot of trouble. But now emotionally, she doesn't feel good. Her behavior is she's like, but now she's able to control her behaviors.
Right. So she doesn't look as bad.
Doesn't feel bad.
Right. Do you think she'd be open to,
Yeah.
coming to see somebody alternative? I love working with that age group.
So then, do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Really. Right. Because half the sensitive kids absorb stuff from other people, and it's more emotion code.
Well, and I
you get it.
completely believe that. Yeah.
And the interesting is when clear it from her, we clear from the other family member too. So we actually benefit other members of the family even though they're not there in the room.
Well, maybe I need to do this. And
Now maybe you should maybe we can have her read this and see if it resonates with her. I mean that's the body code which has the emotion code in it. But it includes the emotion code.
right. Yeah, that sounds great. I appreciate it. Man, it's just
Oh, you know what? I
great.
realized I recorded all that.
Oh, well,
Sorry.
that's
Is that
fine.
okay?
Yeah, well, his name's